The Galactic Council meeting hall stretched across 3 kilometers of polished crystal floors. Representatives from 47 different species sat in their designated areas, their various forms creating a rainbow of colors and shapes that would have amazed any human who could see it. But there were no humans to witness this gathering. According to every official record, database, and historical document in the galaxy, humans had been extinct for exactly 200 years. Chancellor Vextar of the Zolonian Empire stood at the central podium, his 4 arms gesturing dramatically as he addressed the assembled delegates. His blue-scaled skin glittered under the artificial lights, and his yellow eyes swept across the crowd with confidence. "Fellow beings of the galaxy," Vextar announced, his voice carrying clearly through the translation devices worn by every delegate. "We gather today to discuss the final distribution of the former human territories. As we all know, the primitive species called humans disappeared exactly 2 centuries ago. Their worlds now stand empty, their resources unused, their space lanes abandoned." A murmur of agreement rippled through the assembly. The Corvani delegation, with their insect-like features and compound eyes, clicked their approval. The gaseous Nedhari shifted colors in their containment suits, displaying patterns that indicated satisfaction. Even the proud Altari, who rarely agreed with anyone, nodded their elongated heads in consensus. Admiral Kraz of the Corvani military stood to address the council. His chitinous armor gleamed black under the lights, and his mandibles clicked as he spoke. The human extinction was inevitable. They were a young species, barely past their first interstellar travels. When the plague of Xerion spread through their colonies, they simply lacked the medical technology to survive. We monitored their final communications from Earth itself. The last transmission was received on Galactic Standard Date 2823.4. Nothing since then. Commander Yilnara of the Nedhari Cloud Fleet pulsed a deep purple in her containment suit. "Our long-range sensors confirm Admiral Kraz's assessment. The Sol system shows no technological signatures. No energy emissions beyond natural stellar radiation. No communication signals. No ship movements. The system is dead." Vextar smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Then, we are in agreement. The human worlds will be divided among our civilizations according to their strategic value and resource potential. Earth itself, their origin world, will remain untouched as a monument to the dangers of uncontrolled disease. The other colonies will be redistributed." As the delegates began discussing the specifics of territorial division, none of them noticed the small scanning probe that had been silently observing from beyond the station's sensor range. The probe was no larger than a human fist, its surface covered in adaptive camouflage that made it nearly invisible against the cosmic background. Its sensors recorded every word, every gesture, every detail of the meeting. Deep in the probe's memory banks, sophisticated translation algorithms worked to decode the alien languages. Advanced quantum transmitters prepared to send the gathered intelligence across impossible distances, through dimensions that the assembled aliens couldn't even imagine existed. On the other side of the galaxy, far beyond the reaches of any civilization's sensors, the probe's signal reached its destination. The massive space station that received the transmission was a marvel of engineering that defied conventional physics. It floated in the void between dimensions, invisible to normal space, protected by technology that bent reality itself. Captain Sarah Chun stood in the station's command center, her dark hair pulled back in a regulation military bun, her brown eyes focused on the holographic display showing the Galactic Council meeting. Around her, dozens of technicians and officers worked at stations that hummed with barely contained energy. The technology surrounding them would have seemed like magic to the aliens discussing humanity's extinction. "They really believe we're all dead," said Dr. James Rodriguez, the station's chief scientist. His weathered face showed a mixture of amusement and concern as he studied the alien delegates. 200 years of hiding, and they bought it completely. Captain Chen nodded slowly. The Great Withdrawal worked exactly as planned. When the Xerion plague hit our outer colonies, we made sure the aliens saw what they expected to see. Dying colonies, desperate final transmissions, and then silence. Lieutenant Commander Anya Volkov, head of intelligence operations, stepped up to the display. Her pale blue eyes reflected the glow of the hologram as she analyzed the alien positions. What they didn't know was that we had already developed quantum dimensional technology. While they thought we were dying, we were evacuating our entire population to pocket dimensions. Every human, every piece of critical infrastructure, every important cultural artifact. We left nothing behind but empty buildings and false graves. The captain studied the alien fleet dispositions shown in the tactical display. Over the past 2 centuries, while humanity had been presumed extinct, these civilizations had grown comfortable and complacent. They had divided up human space among themselves, using humanity's former colonies as bases and resource centers. They had grown fat and lazy on human achievements. Status report on our current capabilities, Chen ordered. Commander Marcus Webb, the station's tactical officer, activated a series of displays showing fleet strengths and technological capabilities. We currently have 47 dimensional stations like this one, each serving as a base for approximately 50 million humans. Our total population now exceeds 3 billion. Our technology level has advanced approximately 4 centuries beyond anything these aliens possess. The numbers were staggering. While the galaxy thought humanity was extinct, humans had been advancing at an unprecedented rate. Free from the need to hide their capabilities or worry about alien interference, human scientists had made breakthrough after breakthrough. They had mastered dimensional travel, developed energy sources that could power entire star systems, and created weapons that could reshape reality itself. Dr. Rodriguez pulled up another display showing human ships. The vessels looked nothing like the primitive craft humanity had used 2 centuries ago. These ships moved through folded space, existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, and carried weapons that could destroy planets with pinpoint precision. They were crewed by humans who had been genetically enhanced to survive in any environment. Their lifespans extended to centuries, their minds augmented with quantum processing capabilities. The question now, said Captain Chun, is whether we reveal ourselves or continue the charade. Lieutenant Commander Volkov highlighted the territorial divisions being discussed by the aliens. They're planning to claim our worlds permanently. Earth, Mars, Europa, Titan, all the outer colonies. They're treating our entire civilization like it's their property to distribute among themselves. The captain's jaw tightened. They're calling Earth a monument to disease and primitive failure. They're laughing about how easily we died. Around the command center, other officers were monitoring similar scenes throughout alien space. The Galactic Council wasn't the only organization discussing humanity's extinction with amusement. Academic institutions were teaching courses on the human failure as an example of how primitive species inevitably destroyed themselves. Military academies used humanity's extinction as a case study in the weaknesses of uncontrolled biological advancement. Most insulting of all, some alien civilizations had turned former human colonies into tourist attractions. They offered guided tours of extinct human settlements, complete with fabricated stories about human brutality and stupidity. Gift shops sold souvenirs made from supposedly authentic human artifacts. Admiral Martinez wants a status report, announced Communications Officer Lisa Park. The Admiralty is ready to begin Phase 2 of the return protocol if we give the authorization. Captain Chen looked around at her officers. Each of them represented the finest of humanity's hidden civilization. They were the children and grandchildren of those who had survived the Great Withdrawal, raised in the dimensional stations, trained for this moment when humanity would decide whether to remain hidden or reclaim its place in the galaxy. "What's the status of our reconnaissance throughout alien space?" she asked. Commander Webb activated a galaxy-wide tactical display. "We have stealth probes monitoring every major alien military installation, government center, and population hub. Our intelligence is complete and current. We know their fleet positions, their technological capabilities, their political relationships, and their economic dependencies." The display showed a galaxy that had grown comfortable with the status quo. The major alien powers had formed stable alliances based on their shared division of former human territory. Trade routes had been established through what was once human space. Military bases had been built on former human worlds. The aliens had created an entire economic and political system based on the assumption that humanity was gone forever. Dr. Rodriguez pointed to a series of reports scrolling across his screen. Our anthropology teams have been studying alien culture for 2 centuries. We understand their psychology, their social structures, their military doctrine, and their technological limitations. They have no idea how to fight an enemy that can exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. More importantly, added Lieutenant Commander Volkov, they have no idea how to fight an enemy they believe is extinct. They're not prepared for us psychologically or militarily. Captain Chen made her decision. Send the authorization to Admiral Martinez. Begin Phase 2 of the Return Protocol. It's time the galaxy learned that humanity is far from extinct. As the orders went out through quantum channels to hidden bases throughout the dimensional matrix, humanity began to stir. In 47 dimensional stations, military units received deployment orders. Fleets that had been hidden for 2 centuries prepared for their first operations in normal space. Scientists made final checks on weapons systems that existed outside conventional physics. The aliens at the Galactic Council continued their discussions about dividing human territory, completely unaware that they were being watched by the very species they thought they had outlasted. They debated which worlds would be most valuable for resource extraction, which colonies would make the best military bases, and which systems could be terraformed to suit their various environmental needs. None of them suspected that in hidden dimensions, humanity was preparing to remind the galaxy that counting humans among the extinct was the greatest mistake any civilization could make. In the command center of the dimensional station, Captain Chen watched the final preparations begin. Soon, the aliens would learn that human extinction had been greatly exaggerated. They would discover that while they had been growing comfortable and complacent, humanity had been growing stronger, smarter, and more determined than ever. The galaxy was about to witness the return of a species that had never truly left. But first, humanity would let their enemies reveal just how far they were willing to go in claiming human achievements as their own. The war for humanity's return was about to begin, and the aliens had no idea what was coming for them. As reports came in from across the galaxy, it became clear that the alien civilizations had not just taken human territory. They had systematically erased human culture, rewritten history to make themselves the heroes of humanity's downfall, and even claimed credit for human technological achievements. Some alien species were teaching their children that humans had been nothing more than violent primitives who had destroyed themselves through their own stupidity. Captain Chen studied the intelligence reports with growing anger. The Zolonian Empire had built their capital city on the ruins of New Geneva, one of humanity's greatest colonies. They had destroyed human monuments and replaced them with statues celebrating Zolonian liberation of the world from human occupation. The Corvani had turned Mars into a military training ground, using the ancient human settlements as target practice for their weapons. They told their soldiers that humans had been so primitive they couldn't even properly colonize their own neighbor planet. The Altari had claimed that faster-than-light travel had been invented by their ancestors, not by human scientists. They had rewritten galactic history to erase any mention of human contributions to space travel, medicine, or physics. They don't just think we're dead, observed Dr. Rodriguez. They've convinced themselves we never mattered at all. Lieutenant Commander Volkov nodded grimly. It's worse than we thought. They haven't just stolen our territory. They've stolen our entire legacy. Captain Chen activated the ship-wide communication system. Throughout the dimensional station, 3 million humans stopped their activities to listen to their commanding officer. Citizens of humanity's hidden civilization, she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast station. For 200 years, we have watched and waited. We have built ourselves into something stronger and better than we ever were before. We have advanced our technology, expanded our knowledge, and prepared for this moment. On screens throughout the station, images appeared showing the alien occupation of human worlds, the destruction of human monuments, and the rewriting of human history. Today, we have learned that our patience has limits. The galaxy believes we are extinct, but more than that, they believe we never deserve to exist at all. They have not just taken our worlds. They have tried to erase our very existence from history. The captain's voice grew harder, carrying the anger and determination of an entire hidden civilization. This ends now. We are not extinct. We are not forgotten. We are not primitive failures who destroyed ourselves through our own stupidity. We are humanity, and we have returned to reclaim what is ours. Throughout the dimensional station, and in 46 others like it, humanity prepared for war. But this would not be a war of conquest or expansion. This would be a war of return, a war to remind the galaxy that humanity had never left, had never died, and had never stopped growing stronger. The aliens thought they knew what humans were capable of. They were about to learn they had no idea what humanity had become. Admiral Elena Martinez stood in the war room of the UHS Retribution, humanity's most advanced dimensional battleship. Around her, holographic displays showed real-time tactical information from across the galaxy. Her silver hair was pulled back severely, and her green eyes held the cold calculation of someone who had spent decades planning for this moment. The Retribution existed simultaneously in normal space and 7 different dimensional layers, making it effectively invisible to conventional sensors while allowing it to strike from any angle. Its crew of 2,000 represented the finest minds and warriors that humanity's hidden civilization had produced. First Fleet reports ready for dimensional emergence, announced Captain David Kim, her tactical coordinator. All ships are in position around the target systems. Martinez studied the holographic display showing 47 different star systems that had once belonged to humanity. Each system now hosted alien colonies, military bases, or industrial facilities built on the ruins of human civilization. The aliens had spent 2 centuries making themselves comfortable in humanity's former home. Intelligence update from the field teams, reported Commander Sarah Hassan, the fleet's intelligence chief. Her dark skin gleamed under the bridge lighting as she manipulated the tactical displays. The aliens are proceeding with their territorial division ceremony. They're literally signing papers to make their theft of our worlds official. The display zoomed in on the Galactic Council station, where representatives from across alien space were preparing to formalize the permanent division of human territory. They had drafted documents, prepared speeches, and even planned celebration ceremonies to mark their successful colonization of former human space. Admiral Martinez felt a cold smile cross her face. Perfect. Let them gather their leaders in one place. Let them sign their papers and make their speeches. Let them believe they've won. Lieutenant Commander Zhang Wei, the communications officer, looked up from his station. Admiral, we're receiving reports from our deep cover operatives in alien space. Some of the younger alien generation are questioning the official story about human extinction. They're asking why such a primitive species was able to colonize so many worlds and develop such advanced technology. What are their governments telling them? Asked Martinez. That humans were lucky primitives who stumbled onto a few basic technologies but lacked the wisdom to use them properly. They're teaching that human extinction proves the superiority of established galactic civilizations. Martinez activated the ship's internal communication system. Throughout the Retribution and across the 47-dimensional stations, her words reached every human in their hidden civilization. Citizens of humanity, she began, her voice carrying the weight of 2 centuries of preparation. Today marks the end of the Great Withdrawal. Today, we begin the Great Return. On screens throughout human space, tactical displays showed the positions of alien fleets, the locations of their most important installations, and the distribution of their forces. The aliens had grown comfortable and spread themselves thin across human territory. They had no idea that they were about to face an enemy that had been studying their every move for 200 years. Our reconnaissance teams have identified every alien military installation in former human space. Our intelligence networks have mapped their command structures, their supply lines, and their technological capabilities. Our scientists have analyzed their weaknesses and developed countermeasures for their weapons. The Admiral paused, allowing the implications to sink in throughout humanity's hidden fleets. More importantly, we understand something that they have forgotten. We know what it means to fight for our home. Captain Kim activated the tactical overview, showing the full scope of Operation Homecoming. Phase 1 would involve simultaneous strikes on key alien installations across 47 star systems. Phase 2 would focus on liberating Earth and the core human worlds. Phase 3 would involve revealing the truth about human survival to the galaxy at large. All fleet commanders, report status, Martinez ordered. One by one, the reports came in from across the dimensional matrix. Admiral Jackson's Second Fleet was positioned to strike Corvani installations in the former outer colonies. Admiral Patel's Third Fleet was ready to engage Zolonian forces in what had once been the Centauri sector. Admiral O'Connor's Fourth Fleet was prepared to retake the industrial worlds that the Altari had claimed. Each fleet consisted of ships that existed partially outside normal space, crewed by humans whose capabilities had been enhanced far beyond what their ancestors had possessed. These were not the desperate survivors that the aliens remembered from 2 centuries ago. These were the evolved descendants of humanity's finest, trained and equipped with technology that made alien weapons look like primitive clubs. First target confirmed, announced Captain Kim. The Corvani military base on former colony World Haven. Intelligence indicates they've turned our old agricultural domes into weapons testing facilities. Martinez studied the tactical display showing Haven, once humanity's breadbasket world, in the outer spiral. The Corvani had built a massive military complex over the ruins of New Athens, humanity's former colonial capital. They used the old human buildings as target practice, teaching their soldiers to shoot at holographic human figures while lecturing them about alien superiority. "What are our rules of engagement?" asked Commander Hassan. "We are not here for conquest," Martinez replied firmly. "We are here for justice. Any alien military personnel who resist will be neutralized. Any alien civilians who surrender will be relocated safely to their home systems. Any alien who has participated in the destruction of human culture or the rewriting of our history will face trial." The Admiral activated a secure channel to the fleet commanders. "Remember, the aliens think we're extinct. They have no idea what human technology has become. They don't understand dimensional warfare, quantum shielding, or reality manipulation weaponry. They'll be fighting an enemy they think is impossible." Lieutenant Commander Zhang received an urgent communication from the reconnaissance teams. "Admiral, the aliens are accelerating their territorial division ceremony. They want to finalize the paperwork before any of the minor species can object to the arrangement." Martinez checked the chronometer. "Then, we'll give them something to really celebrate. All fleets, execute Operation Homecoming on my mark." Across the dimensional matrix, human ships began emerging into normal space. They appeared simultaneously in 47 different star systems, their advanced cloaking technology making them invisible until the moment they chose to reveal themselves. The aliens monitoring those systems saw nothing unusual on their sensors, completely unaware that humanity had returned in force. The first target was the Corvani base on Haven. Admiral Jackson's flagship, the UHS Vengeance, emerged from dimensional space directly above the alien installation. The ship was 3 times larger than any vessel the Corvani had ever built, its hull gleaming with energy fields that bent light around its surface. "This is Admiral Jackson of the United Human Fleet to Corvani forces on Haven," came the transmission that shattered 2 centuries of galactic silence. "You are occupying sovereign human territory. You have 30 seconds to begin evacuation procedures." In the Corvani Command Center, General Krextar stared at his screens in absolute confusion. His compound eyes couldn't process what he was seeing. According to every sensor, there was a massive alien vessel hovering above his base, but that was impossible. The only species in this sector were supposed to be extinct. "General, the vessel is broadcasting in the extinct human language," reported his communications officer, her mandibles clicking nervously. "Our translation computers identify it as a dead language that hasn't been spoken for 200 years. General Krextar's training took over. "All weapons, target that vessel. Prepare for immediate strike." The Corvani base opened fire with everything they had. Energy beams, plasma missiles, and quantum torpedoes streaked toward the human ship. The weapons struck the Vengeance's shields and simply vanished, absorbed into dimensional space, and converted to additional power for the human vessel systems. "Warning ignored," Admiral Jackson announced calmly, initiating selective demolition of military targets. The Vengeance's weapons were unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. Instead of simple energy beams or explosive missiles, the human ship fired reality distortion pulses that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. The alien weapons installations simply ceased to exist, their matter converted to harmless energy and dispersed across dimensional space. In less than 30 seconds, the entire Corvani military base had been neutralized without a single casualty. The alien soldiers found themselves standing in empty fields where their weapons had been moments before, completely unharmed but absolutely defenseless. Similar scenes played out across human space as fleet after fleet emerged to reclaim their worlds. The Zolonian forces on New Geneva found their capital city surrounded by ships that seemed to phase in and out of reality. The Altari discovered that their impregnable fortress on Mars was no match for weapons that could strike from parallel dimensions. None of the aliens understood what they were fighting. They had never developed dimensional technology, never learned to manipulate reality at the quantum level, never imagined that space itself could be used as a weapon. To them, the human ships seemed to violate every law of physics they understood. Admiral Martinez watched the tactical displays as report after report came in from across human space. Operation Homecoming was proceeding exactly as planned. Alien military forces were being neutralized without significant casualties, human worlds were being liberated, and the aliens were learning that their comfortable occupation was over. "Admiral," reported Captain Kim, "we're receiving surrender requests from 17 different alien installations. They're asking what species we represent and what our demands are." Martinez activated the fleet-wide communication channel. "This is Admiral Elena Martinez of the United Human Navy. You are hereby informed that the species you thought extinct has returned. Humanity never died. We simply stepped back to allow you to reveal your true nature." Throughout alien space, the implications of those words sent shock waves through military commands, political centers, and civilian populations. The humans were alive. The humans were back. And the humans had technology that made every alien weapon system look primitive by comparison. "All alien forces in human territory have 24 hours to begin evacuation procedures," Martinez continued. "You will be provided with safe passage to your home systems. Any attempt to destroy human infrastructure, cultural sites, or historical artifacts will be met with immediate retaliation." On the Galactic Council station, Chancellor Vextar stared at the communication with growing horror. His forearms trembled as the implications became clear. If the humans were alive, if they had been watching all along, then they knew everything. They knew about the territorial divisions, the cultural destruction, the rewriting of history. They knew exactly how the aliens had treated their supposed extinction. "How is this possible?" demanded Admiral Cross, his mandibles clicking frantically. "Our sensors showed no human activity for 2 centuries. Our exploration teams found no sign of survivors. How could an entire species hide for so long?" Commander Yilnara's gaseous form shifted to deep purple in her containment suit. "The technology they're displaying is impossible. Ships that exist in multiple dimensions? Weapons that erase matter from reality? We have nothing that can match such capabilities." As if in response to their confusion, a new ship emerged directly beside the Galactic Council station. The UHS Retribution materialized from dimensional space, its massive form dwarfing the alien station. Its hull gleamed with energy patterns that hurt alien eyes to look upon directly. Admiral Martinez's voice filled the council chamber. "Honored delegates of the Galactic Council, I believe you were discussing the division of human territory. Perhaps we should have a conversation about that." The aliens stared in shock as viewing screens throughout the station showed human ships emerging across the galaxy. In system after system, the comfortable alien occupation was ending as humanity returned to reclaim what had always been theirs. But this was only the beginning. The aliens were about to learn that humanity had not just survived their supposed extinction. They had evolved, advanced, and grown into something far beyond what any alien civilization could comprehend. The galaxy was about to discover what humans had become during their 2 centuries of hiding. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been in session for 18 hours, and panic filled the massive chamber like a toxic cloud. Representatives from every major alien civilization sat in their designated areas, their various forms displaying universal signs of fear and confusion. The comfortable order they had known for 2 centuries was crumbling around them. Admiral Martinez stood at the central podium where Chancellor Vextar had been speaking just days before. Her human form looked small compared to the massive alien delegates surrounding her, but her presence dominated the chamber. Behind her, holographic displays showed the current status of human reclamation operations across the galaxy. Honored delegates, Martinez began, her voice carrying clearly through translation devices that most aliens had thought were necessary only for communicating with primitive species. You seem surprised to see us. Did you really believe that a species capable of interstellar travel and dimensional manipulation could simply vanish without a trace? Chancellor Vextar's forearms trembled as he attempted to maintain his diplomatic composure. His blue scales had dulled to a sickly gray color, and his yellow eyes darted nervously between the human admiral and the exit doors. Admiral Martinez, the Galactic Council was under the impression that humanity had succumbed to the Xerian plague. Our records clearly show. Your records show exactly what we wanted them to show, Martinez interrupted smoothly. The Great Withdrawal was not an extinction. It was a strategic retreat. While you celebrated our supposed demise, we were evolving. Dr. Elena Vasquez, humanity's lead scientist and diplomat, stepped forward to address the assembly. Her dark hair was streaked with silver earned through decades of research in dimensional physics, and her brown eyes held the confidence of someone who understood forces that the aliens couldn't even imagine. 200 years ago, when the Xerian plague threatened our outer colonies, we faced a choice, she explained. We could fight a losing battle against a disease we didn't yet understand, or we could use our newly developed dimensional technology to remove our entire civilization from normal space until we could find a cure. Admiral Kraw's mandibles clicked frantically as he processed this information. You're claiming that your entire species has been hiding in some kind of parallel dimension? That's impossible. Our sensors would have detected dimensional disturbances on that scale. Dr. Vasquez smiled. Your sensors detect what we allow them to detect. We've been monitoring your civilizations for 2 centuries, studying your technology, analyzing your cultures, and watching how you treated our former territories. She activated a holographic display that filled the center of the chamber. The images showed alien forces systematically destroying human monuments, alien historians rewriting textbooks to erase human achievements, and alien tourists visiting extinct human ruins, while guides told fabricated stories about human primitiveness and failure. We watched you turn our worlds into tourist attractions, Dr. Vasquez continued, her voice growing harder. We watched you teach your children that humans were violent primitives who destroyed themselves. We watched you claim credit for our technological innovations and cultural achievements. The assembled delegates shifted uncomfortably as more images appeared. Corvani military academies using human colonies for target practice. Zalonian universities teaching courses on the failure of human civilization. Altari museums displaying stolen human artifacts while claiming they were examples of alien ingenuity that humans had copied poorly. Commander Hassan stepped up to the display controls, her fingers dancing over interfaces that the aliens couldn't even see clearly. The technology was so far advanced beyond their capabilities that it seemed like magic to their limited understanding. What disturbs us most, Hassan announced, is not just that you stole our territory. It's that you systematically attempted to erase our culture and our contributions to galactic civilization. New images appeared showing the full scope of alien cultural destruction. Human libraries had been burned and replaced with texts claiming that humans had contributed nothing to galactic knowledge. Human art galleries had been emptied and filled with alien works that supposedly demonstrated the superiority of non-human creativity. Human scientific laboratories had been destroyed and rebuilt with plaques crediting aliens with discoveries that humans had actually made. You didn't just occupy our worlds, Martinez said, her voice carrying the accumulated anger of 3 billion hidden humans. You tried to make it as if we had never existed at all. Admiral Yilnara's gaseous form shifted through several color combinations that indicated extreme distress. But our historical records clearly show that human technology was primitive compared to our own achievements. Your species barely had functional faster-than-light travel. Dr. Vasquez laughed, a sound that echoed strangely in the vast chamber. That was 200 years ago. Would you like to see what human technology has become? She activated a new display showing current human capabilities. The aliens stared in growing horror as they saw ships that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, energy sources that could manipulate space-time itself, and weapons that could rewrite the fundamental laws of physics within localized areas. While you grew comfortable and complacent, Dr. Vasquez explained, we never stopped advancing. Free from the need to hide our capabilities or worry about alien interference, we made breakthrough after breakthrough. We've advanced approximately 4 centuries beyond anything your civilizations possess. Captain Kim stepped forward with tactical reports from across the galaxy. As of this morning, human forces have successfully reclaimed 63% of our former territory. Alien military resistance has been minimal due to our overwhelming technological advantage. The numbers he presented were staggering. In less than 72 hours, humanity had retaken dozens of star systems that the aliens had occupied for 2 centuries. More impressive still, they had done so without causing significant casualties among alien forces. Human weapons were so precise and advanced that they could disable entire military installations while leaving the personnel inside completely unharmed. However, Captain Kim continued, we've discovered that the cultural damage is far more extensive than we initially realized. You haven't just occupied our worlds. You've systematically destroyed every trace of human civilization you could find. Chancellor Vextar attempted to regain some semblance of diplomatic composure. Admiral Martinez, surely we can reach some kind of accommodation. The galaxy has been peaceful for 2 centuries. There's room for all our civilizations to coexist. Coexist, Martinez repeated, her voice carrying dangerous undertones. You mean the way we coexisted when you thought we were extinct? The way you coexisted with our empty graves while you divided our worlds among yourselves. Dr. Vasquez activated another display, this one showing the current state of Earth itself. The aliens had designated it as a monument to primitive failure, and had prevented any development or colonization of humanity's home world. But they had also allowed it to fall into decay, treating it as nothing more than a curiosity for alien tourists. You turned our birth world into a theme park, Dr. Vasquez said quietly. You brought your children there to laugh at the stupid humans who had destroyed themselves with their own technology. The images showed alien families posing for pictures in the ruins of human cities, alien guides telling fabricated stories about human brutality and incompetence, and alien souvenir shops selling fake, human artifacts mass-produced on alien worlds. Admiral Martinez activated the fleet communication system, her voice reaching every human ship across the galaxy. All fleet commanders, initiate Phase 3 of Operation Homecoming. Begin full disclosure protocols. Across alien space, human ships began broadcasting on all frequencies. The transmissions contained detailed historical records, scientific data, and cultural archives that proved beyond any doubt that humanity had not only survived but had advanced far beyond anything the aliens had achieved. More importantly, the broadcast contained evidence of everything the aliens had done during the past 2 centuries. The systematic destruction of human culture, the rewriting of galactic history, the theft of human achievements, and the deliberate attempts to erase humanity from galactic memory. Citizens of the galaxy, Admiral Martinez announced, her words reaching every inhabited world in known space. You have been lied to for 200 years. The species you were told was extinct has been watching you. The humans you were taught were primitive failures are the same species that gave you faster-than-light travel, quantum computing, and dimensional physics. On worlds throughout alien space, populations that had been taught to view humans as extinct primitives suddenly found themselves confronting evidence that humans were not only alive but had become the most advanced species in the galaxy. The revelation sent shockwaves through alien society that would reshape galactic civilization for centuries to come. In the Galactic Council chamber, the alien delegates sat in stunned silence as the full implications of humanity's return became clear. They had built their comfortable civilization on a lie. They had stolen everything they had from a species they believed was too weak to stop them. Now that species had returned, and they were no longer weak. What do you want from us? asked Chancellor Vextar, his voice barely above a whisper. Admiral Martinez looked around the chamber at the assembled delegates. These beings had spent 2 centuries convinced of their own superiority, comfortable in their theft of human achievements, satisfied with their rewriting of galactic history. Now they faced the reckoning they had never believed would come. "We want justice," she said simply. "We want our worlds returned. We want our history restored. We want the truth told about what really happened 200 years ago." Dr. Vasquez stepped forward with a document that materialized in holographic form above the central podium. "The Galactic Restoration Accord," she announced. "Terms for the return of human territory, compensation for cultural destruction, and guarantees that the truth about human civilization will be taught throughout the galaxy." The terms were not negotiable. Alien forces would withdraw from all human territory within 1 year. All stolen human artifacts would be returned to their proper places. All historical records would be corrected to reflect humanity's true contributions to galactic civilization. Educational systems throughout alien space would teach the truth about human achievements and the circumstances of their withdrawal from normal space. "And if we refuse?" asked Admiral Cross, though his mandibles clicked nervously as he spoke. Martinez smiled, but there was no warmth in the expression. "Then, you'll discover what happens when you try to fight a species that can manipulate the fundamental forces of reality itself. We've been very restrained so far. Our weapons can do much more than simply disable your military installations." To demonstrate her point, she activated a display showing a small asteroid in an empty system. A human ship appeared beside it, fired a single beam of energy, and the asteroid simply ceased to exist. It didn't explode or fragment. It vanished completely from reality, leaving behind not even dust. "We have no desire for conquest," Martinez continued. "We have no interest in ruling over other species. We simply want what was always ours, and we want the truth to be told about who we are and what we've achieved." The alien delegates looked at each other with growing understanding. They had no choice. Humanity had returned with technology that made resistance impossible and evidence that made denial pointless. The comfortable lie they had lived for 2 centuries was over. One by one, the representatives of the galaxy's major civilizations formally agreed to the Galactic Restoration Accord. They would return human territory, restore human history, and acknowledge the truth about humanity's survival and advancement. But, as Admiral Martinez watched the formal signing ceremony, she knew this was only the beginning. Humanity had revealed itself to the galaxy once again, but this time they would not be the young, naive species that had first reached for the stars 2 centuries ago. This time, they would be the most advanced civilization the galaxy had ever known, and they would never again allow anyone to believe that humans could be simply erased from existence. The age of human extinction was over. The age of human ascendancy had begun. As the Galactic Council session ended and alien delegates began the process of returning to their home worlds with news that would transform galactic society, Admiral Martinez stood before the vast viewing windows of the council chamber. Outside, human ships moved through space with technology that bent reality itself to their will. Humanity had returned to the galaxy, and the universe would never be the same.